Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to Djuma Private Game Reserve in the Sabi Sands. My name's Brent. On camera with me today is Brian, and in FC is Tara. As you can see, just over my left shoulder is a young male leopard. And for those of you who haven't been with us on drive for the last couple of drives, it's the quarantine male leopard who's killed an impala right next to our FC. So our officers and that are just over my right shoulder, and the leopard is literally 60 meters from the officers. And for those of you who are new viewers and might not know what we do, we are on a live safari. So literally everything I'm seeing, you are seeing by bar a few seconds over the internet. So welcome on an African safari. So for those of you who weren't on drive with us this morning, when we left this male leopard, he was lying down at the base of the tree on the ground. He's got a very, very full belly, and the reason he's probably back in the tree now, actually the hyenas were here earlier and they left, and then the hyenas have come back, and that's probably why he's back in the tree. So we've got one hyena lying just to the left of us. There were two earlier this morning, but looks like the other one is more than likely very close, lying up under a bush. And if he happened to drop his kill, they would both be there in seconds. Incredibly patient. I've seen them wait for up to 3 days around a leopard kill for scraps, and hoping the leopard makes a mistake and drops his kill. And then we can't really see it from where we are, but the kill is up in the tree, and we will show you that before we move on. Also, other than that, we saw some elephants this morning, some hippo. This was a very, very good morning, and hopefully we can have an even better afternoon. The one wonderful things about going on game drive is that no game drive is ever the same. So I'm just going to move the car a little bit so you guys can have a look at what remains of the Impala. So you can see he's eaten quite a lot of it, but there is still a lot of meat left on those back legs and on the neck. So you've got a nice fat belly, a very happy leopard at the moment. Lots of meat still to go through. He'll probably still be here for another day or so, maybe even possibly another day and a half to 2 days. Unless he makes a mistake and drops a piece of that carcass, and the hyenas will definitely be in lickety splits to grab it from him. He's just moved his head, so I'm just going to move around to where we can see his face again and see how fat his belly is there. Oh no, he's looking back this way. Well, he might possibly head down towards the water for a drink. The hyena lifted its head. It heard him come down, but it hasn't really moved. So leopards would, if by choice he'd prefer to sleep on the ground, but the hyenas might harass him a little bit, that's why he might not. Hyena's not really paying him any attention. Hyena's actually laid its head flat again. Yeah. So he came down for a bathroom break. Now he's actually lying in his own urine. You can see those type of things don't really faze wild animals. I always find it amazing that leopards, even though they know their kill's still there, they always, oh, let me just look up and check. Yeah, no, it's still there, it's okay. So he's about 28 months old, still a young male. Getting to a stage in probably the next 6 months to a year where the dominant male leopard will start pushing him out of the territory. After that, for a few years, young male leopards become quite nomadic, sort of living on the peripheries and trying to avoid dominant male leopards until they're old enough and big enough to start challenging for their own territory. Well, leopard territories can be quite an interesting thing. That the territories are completely dependent on the area rather than on just them being leopards. So, for example, leopards in the Western Cape region of South Africa have vast territories, probably bigger than the whole Sabi Sands Game Reserve for one male. And the reason for this is that there's limited food source, and they generally feed off mice and grasshoppers and snakes and lizards, so their territories can be huge. In this area, I think male leopard ranges from about 4,000, probably not even that big, probably 3,000 to 5,000 hectares. And you must remember, these are not sort of boundaries in human terms, that the edge of the territory is like fences and whatnot. There is some overlap between animals because it is quite a large area, and they do need to patrol it, and they can't be everywhere at once. And the leopard that is more than likely, or will push him out eventually, is possibly one of the leopards that could be his father. It's very difficult to say for certain that an individual leopard is a father from that point of view, whereas the females will mate with multiple males, or males they might possibly come into contact with in their territory. They do this to sort of try convince that all the males that the cubs belong to them, so they won't kill them. And that leopard is a Mvula. He is the dominant male leopard in this area. So I don't think too much else is going to be happening here, but we will definitely come back and check later on this evening to see if there's any update. He's very full now and he's probably going to sleep. So hopefully when we come back later, when it's a bit cooler, even though it's not particularly warm today, it's probably, hopefully he might be up in the tree feeding again. You can see how well a leopard's camouflage works there. He's lying right at the base of the tree. So Brian's just going to zoom in quickly, and you can see how incredible that camouflage is. As soon as you sort of look away, he melts into the grass. Okay, so we did quite a lot. We covered a reasonable amount of ground this morning, and so I thought what we can do is maybe let's go have a look at the hyena den, see if there's any activity there, and then after that we'll see what we feel like doing. Just for those who weren't with us this morning, last night I heard lions roaring to the east and to the south of us. So this morning, after we had had a wonderful view of quarantine, we shot off to our southern boundary to check for tracks. None came up. Then we did the eastern boundary, none came up. So they've obviously stayed further away. It did sound like they were coming back towards us. It's unlikely that they would have moved during the day. Not impossible, but unlikely. So what we're going to do, we're not going to go look in those same areas where we looked this morning. We're going to probably try head a little bit further west. We didn't get into those western sectors at all this morning, and we didn't go to the hyena den this morning either, although I know one of the other game drive vehicles went there and it wasn't active. So we'll go check now. It's been a nice cool day, so hopefully that will prompt the hyenas to be at home and the cubs to be out and playful. Good afternoon, Kathleen from New York. Kathleen is saying she was watching the Arathusa waterhole camp and she saw elephants very interested in a white rock. And she was wondering whether they were trying to get minerals from it. Kathleen, I'm not sure. I haven't seen that rock, so I can't be 100% sure, but I can tell you that elephants do sometimes, but not normally rocks, they eat soil that's high in minerals, specifically salt, also iron, when they feel they're lacking a bit of that in their diet. So possibly, very possibly, they could have been utilizing it. Could have been a salt lick? I don't know. I don't think they put salt licks out in the Sabi Sands. I know they do in some places, but as far as I'm aware, that is not allowed. They're open to the Kruger, so they try to keep it as natural as possible. So also, always in the back of my mind, we also followed those male leopard tracks which we lost around Twin Dams area this morning. So we could always go check in that area now in the afternoon. That leopard might have moved again. And let's go have a look at the hyena den first though. Just also, for those of you who might be new, we are completely interactive. You can ask us questions while we're out on drive, and you can do that by sending an email to questions@wildearth.tv, or you can use the hashtag Safari Live if you're using Twitter. So it's always quite exciting during the first part of the drive. While we haven't been out and drive, we come out and there's a whole bunch of a new set of signs to read and animals that might have passed. So it's sort of like getting your afternoon paper and trying to figure out what's been happening during the day. Everyone can see the cloud is still around, but it has at least lifted a little bit, so it's not as low as it was this morning. And luckily enough, we had a slight bit of drizzle after game drive this morning. I'd guess temperature, it is still quite chilly for me. I know not for most of you, but I'd probably guess it's around 18, 19 degrees, maybe even as warm as 20 degrees Celsius. So we're coming up on the hyena den now. Hopefully, because it's such a nice cool day, there'll be some activity around it. Unfortunately, it doesn't look like any of the adults are home at the moment. And that means we won't stay here, because the hyena cubs can get very curious. You can see the den off to my right here. And just the sound of us being around might attract them to come out. And what that does is it can put them at risk. So if there are no adults around, we just generally leave the area, because they would only be coming out to try have a look at us because of their natural curiosity, and so they wouldn't be out naturally unless there was an adult present, and that could put them to risk for a leopard or lion who might be moving through the area. So also, for those of you who are new, sure you're wondering how hyenas end up in dens and whatnot. Well, what they actually do is they take over abandoned aardvark holes. They will do some excavation themselves, but they normally take it over from an aardvark, and they will have multiple den sites within their clan territory. Sometimes up to 5 or 6 depending on the size of the clan, and the reason for this is, and them moving it can be very varied, but normally it can be as short as a month, even as short as 3 days. So imagine a whole bunch of male lions arrived in the area, they might move the den, but normally they'll stay for between a month and even up to 2 months. And then generally the reason that they do move it, and the reason they have multiple dens in the same area, is because of things like fleas. They get very irritating, they get infestations, so they'll move a den until the fleas get really bad at the next den, then they'll move to the next den and the next den. So we've got 2 very prominent dens that they use quite frequently in this area and quite close to each other. There's an Impala running off to my right. We're going to start seeing some very strange behavior by the boys as we get closer to the main rutting season. And well, what's the thing that makes most boys go mad? And it's the ladies. So there's going to be huge competition over females for mating, and the males will fight very aggressively sometimes, and we'll hear a very strange noise of Impala rutting. And that should be, what do we know, April? Yeah, end of April, beginning of May. So each male tries to sequester a little harem of females like we're coming up on now. And that's why that male's standing over there looking back. There's another male here who's ahead of the game. He's already got himself some ladies. And like a little, you can see a young male in front of us. So he would have been born probably around November, December, maybe even as late as January. And you can see how quickly they grow. You can see the little horns sticking out. In Afrikaans, which is a language used in South Africa, they're called penkops, basically literally pen heads. And the little horns look like pens sticking out.
Yeah, on camera's doing its own thing. Camera gets stuck sometimes.
So, and then you can see there's that male with slightly bigger horns, and that will be last year's baby. So he's about 2 years old, the one scratching his nose on his back at the moment. So he's still too young, and so he won't get involved in competing for females. But here comes the male. You can see he's already trying to herd the females, keep them all together, and keep them away from any competing males. They get so distracted during this time of the year that they quite often get eaten by leopards and lions. They're too busy chasing each other or trying to protect their females. And then also you can actually watch them literally drop kilograms of weight. They don't eat much, and they just run around chasing the ladies and chasing males away from the ladies. So you actually see them drop a lot of that weight in that sort of month of rutting. So it's going to be something quite good or nice to look forward to watching. Always very entertaining. Good afternoon, Kathleen. Kathleen would like to know that the neck of that Impala looked a bit darker, and she would like to know if that's got to do anything to do with the rut. No, Kathleen, that's got to do with the cold. So a lot of their hair extends, or they stick it up, and then the air gets caught between their body and their hair, and it forms like a little insulative blanket around them. So that's generally when it's a bit cooler, you'll see Impala. When it's a bit cooler, you'll see Impala, kudu, waterbuck, inyala, all puff up, and it's basically you're seeing the dark colored hair that's just below the surface, and you're seeing that because they are extending the hair follicles. just checking around. Oopsie, Treehouse Dam. Not much happening here at the moment. Sorry, station. Which route are you taking this afternoon? Well, good afternoon, Charlotte and Robin. Well, Charlotte is Robin's granddaughter, and Charlotte would like to know what is my favorite animal, and it said hers are elephants. Well, Charlotte, my favorite animal is the African wild dog. I'll show you a picture of one now, and the reason I like them so much is because they're very, very exciting to watch. They're incredibly active, so they don't sleep much like lions and leopards. They're sort of always busy, always on the go. They also have probably the highest success rate at hunting out of all the predators we see. Oh, lots of flies out today.
No, you chose a bad location.
I know, I did. This is next to the dam where the buffaloes like to hang out. We do get a lot of flies. Oh, man. Lots of flies. It's just because I know Brian likes flies so much.
I missed them. I missed them on my leave.
Oh, I went past. They're distracting me so much. Yeah, lots of flies. Okay, in the rock. No, so I'm just going to move away from the dam for a second, and then I'll show you a picture of an African wild dog. But I'll keep talking about them in the meantime. Just give us a moment to escape one of the plagues of Egypt. So they're just very, very exciting to watch, and when they run through the bush, I mean, they can keep up incredible speed of about 60 kilometers an hour for up to 4 kilometers. They have about, in certain areas, they have up to an 80% success rate on their hunting. So 8 out of 10 times that they chase something, they're going to catch them. Unlike a lion and leopard, which is probably 2 out of 10 times that they actually chase something, do they actually catch it. Whoops. Oh, since the rain, that root's sticking out a bit more. There we go. We've got the picture of the wild dog now. We've managed to escape a few of the flies. So there it is there. So its scientific name is Lichen pictus, which is, I also just love the name, the scientific name. It means lichen, if you think about French or Latin, is the word for wolf. Lichen, and pictus, painted. So painted wolf. It's a really, really, really descriptive and spot on name. You can see wonderful patch markings on them. So that is my favorite animal. Also, sadly, it is the second most endangered canid in Africa. And there are only about 4,500 left in the whole of Africa, and in the wild. And because they're such successful hunters, they need a huge home range. So, because if they had a very small home range, they stayed in the area, they'd finish all the impala quite quickly. So they need a very big home range. Another problem that faces them is domestic dogs. They are very prone to diseases that are carried by domestic dogs, like canine distemper and rabies. And because they are such a tightly knit social animal, and they have very, very, very strong pack bonds, that if one of the dogs happens to pick up a disease, because they live in close proximity to each other, that disease can spread very quickly through the rest of the pack. And amazing to think how times have changed in terms of how we think of things. So when the Kruger National Park was formed, there was a policy by all the wardens that they used to shoot wild dog, lion, leopard, hyena, cheetah, jackal, all your carnivores. They used to shoot them on sight to try to protect the impala and the zebra and the wildebeest. And that was, that was just over 100 years ago. So it's amazing in that time how our perceptions have changed so radically. I know on Twitter, Twitter would like to know what the name of the fly is. I'm actually not 100% sure about the species, but I think I'd probably call them irritabilis, or something along the line of highly annoying or frustrating. Let me think of a good one. But I'm not 100% sure. With a lot of your fly species and that, they don't actually have common names, they will only have Latin names. Let's think of a good one. What should we call these flies? Guys, see if you guys can come up with a good name for something really irritating.
Irritabilis maximus.
Irritabilis maximus. There's Brian's suggestion. So see if you guys can come up with a better one than Irritabilis maximus. Send your answers to questions@wildearth.tv, or just use the hashtag Safari Live if you're on Twitter. And I think Hannah was referring to something I said. We've found the plague of Egypt. It was just a sort of an old reference. I think Egypt was supposed to have been beset by 7 plagues, according to the Bible. Afternoon, Sam from Memphis. Sam would like to know if there's any other plants apart from basil, which I tried. The other day to keep the flies off me. I've also tried sage, but as far as I know, there aren't actually that many plants that work, apart from maybe breaking off a piece of a guarri branch or a weeping wattle and using it as a fly swat. Oh, there's a white crown shrike, but he didn't hang around for too long. A southern white crown shrike. So we're gonna have a meander. Oh, there's a wildebeest. That's some male impala. Single lone male wildebeest. No lady friends. So the females will actually move between different territorial males, and that helps to keep the genetic line healthy. As I was saying, we covered a lot of Djuma this morning. We haven't been out to Arathusa Private Game Reserve for a while. They do share a common boundary, so I thought, oh, let's go have a look what's happening in the west. So we're going to slowly make our way towards Arathusa and see what's happening on that side. Tatty from Missouri. Anoyus horribilis. Anoyus horribilis. That's a good one. So if any of you are new, you guys will notice quite often I'll turn off the car and I'll freewheel down the hills. And the reason I do this is so I can hear the different noises in the bush, because quite often a lot of animals will sort of give you a news update about what's going on, like the squirrels might be alarming for danger, or we might hear kudu or bushbuck or nyala or impala doing the same. So every now and then I'll just switch off, and so I can freewheel and listen a bit better to the sounds that are around me. So we're heading pretty much due west at the moment, and we're about to cross out of Djuma. As I said, Djuma and Arathusa do share a common boundary, and so we're going to drive down that boundary for a bit, then I'm going to head north down the boundary for a bit, and then I'm going to cut west again into Arathusa. We've got a very nice bird here. Please don't fly, because if one flies, they almost always all fly. So I'm going to see if you get a better view. See if any of you guys can recognize this bird. Almost always seen in flocks, and they have a nickname called they're often called the Seven Sisters. Quite often they're in flocks of 7. Okay, well there's 3. There were a few more earlier. Let's just sneak forward. Oh no, they're all flying. So, see if any of you guys can identify those birds. Send your answers to questions@ wildearth.tv, or just use the hashtag Safari Live on Twitter. thanks everyone who sent their answers through, names for the flies. Sorry we can't name them all, but we do really appreciate you guys sending stuff in to us. Thank you very, very much. Well done, Raisa. That is correct. Those birds we saw there that sometimes are nicknamed the Seven Sisters are white-crested helmet shrikes. Already getting a bit nippy.
Nip's no joke.
No. Winter's on its way. Let me just check the tires that side. Good? Pretty strange movement there.
Yeah, so I felt that as well.
I was like, what's going on here? It could be because they've just graded the road. We hit a funny spot. So now we're heading west and we are into Arathusa. Now forgive me, I don't know the names of the roads here so well. So I've got a map with me to just double check the names of the roads. Don't worry, I won't get lost. It's just if we find something, I'll let everyone else know where they are, where it is. There's a little grey duiker disappearing. Good afternoon, Tom from Missouri. Tom would like to know what my most dangerous or fearful moment in the bush was. I probably only really had two. I was really scared. And the one actually happened in It wasn't the bush per se, it was a Central African rainforest, and we were walking down this forest path, and you must imagine it's really, really thick. And there were 4 of us walking, and we were moving quite quickly through the forest. We were moving from a river where we had our river camp to where our beach camp was, and it was a helicopter, a big oil company helicopter flying over, and they make a lot of noise, and the elephants get quite stressed by that amount of noise, and there happened to be 2 crossing over at the same time, and you can't hear anything, so you lose. And in the rainforest, your hearing is really, really important in terms of not bumping into elephants too close and things like that. But we didn't even bump into them. They just got a big fright from the helicopters, and I looked up, and there were 2 elephants, a cow and a sub-adult, charging full speed at us, and from about 7 or 8 meters when I saw them the first time. So I started shouting. I was very lucky. I had my fishing rod case with me because we're going down to the beach. So a PVC pipe with canvas over it, basically, with my fishing rods inside. And the elephant got close enough that I hit it with my fishing rod case. And she hit me back with her trunk. So I lost that round. And I flew quite far, and I landed on my back. We had very heavy backpacks full of food and stuff, so I couldn't really move. And she came up on top of me, and then I threw the fishing rod case at her. I think the rattling of the rods inside may have given her a fright, and she stopped. And then I thought she was going to come again, so I just literally grabbed anything I could off the ground and just threw it up at her. And fortunately, she backed off. So I got up and started shouting, just trying to make her move away, and everything was great. And as she was after she had backed off and everything was safe, I tried to stand and I just collapsed. I dislocated my hip, and I didn't even feel it at the time. So this big open area to our left here, normally on Sunday or twice a week, plays quite an important part, and well, in particular in Scott and my week. This is where we come and play touch rugby to do a bit of exercise with the rangers from the other lodges. So this is our rugby field, our touch rugby field, right out in the middle of the bush. So these games have been known to be interrupted by elephants and such things, and you sort of have a timeout, drinks break while the elephants pass through, then carry on. Afternoon mobile stations. Flying area, and we lost our signal for a few seconds there. So we're slowly meandering through Arathusa. We're going to go have a look around the airstrip area. So quite often some nice general game on the short grasses there. Afternoon mobile stations, Brent from WildEarth. Can I have an update, please? Copy, thanks Ryan. Was anything located this morning? Copy, thanks. Update from our side. Nisikaya was not active earlier, and quarantine is on Impala Bomba to the north of Yuri's Kaya. When we were out, there were no stations there. We left it open. Best access is if you're coming from Gari Dam. There's that little link road that goes between Vuyatela and Yuri's Kaya. You'll see the off-road trucks coming off that little track, sort of to the west of that road. And you'll see him. He was up in the tree when we left. It's always nice to come explore a different part of the area and another reserve. And the nice thing is that works so well being able to operate on Djuma and on Arathusa is the bush is a little bit different, especially as we head down south of Arathusa towards the airstrip. You find the soils are a bit sandier there, so you get slightly different tree species, and the bush is a little bit different and gives you sort of a different perspective as well. So it's always nice to make use of both properties. Afternoon, Jennifer. Jennifer says I can't leave the story with me lying on my back with the I saw a hip and strapped to a large backpack.
Think about the cliffhanger you left everyone.
I know, that was the idea, wasn't it? No. Jennifer was quite lucky. We managed to get my hip back in, and then I walked very, very slowly for about 14 kilometers and to where I could get to help. Fortunately, there was no major damage. I just had a very sore hip, and for a couple of months I had to take it a little bit easy. Sorry to leave you guys wondering there. Ryan, come. Sorry, Ryan, I'm not copying the other stations. Could you relay that update for me? Copy, thanks very much. Yeah, sorry, station. Go again. Yeah, station, thanks very much. Yeah, I'm currently going to be going through a bit of a bad patch with my radio. Just I will recontact you when I get to some higher ground. So now it's very important for us to have a very good relationship with the other guides, and you will hear me talking on the radio quite a bit, and that's to the numerous other safari vehicles around here. We all work together as a big team. The more of us out there, the more animals that are found, and so we can help each other by calling each other to different sightings. So sometimes I might be a bit busy yabbering away on the radio, saying funny words in very bad Shangaan, and that's me just communicating with the rest of the vehicles out in the reserve, trying to make a plan. So say for example, I found leopard tracks here, and they were heading in a southerly direction. I would say. So I'm going to follow the tracks from where they are, and then someone will say, okay, well, I'll check the next road along south, just to see if they're going out, and that way we're able to find animals faster, which is great for all of us. The only real big competitions on the touch rugby field. So we now just come out on the Arathusa airstrip. Don't worry, I double checked if there was an aeroplane coming before I crossed. Station, you go ahead with that location. My radio should be in a better position now. Sorry, station, I'm still not copying. I'm going to have to try move to a better area. Just stand by. Oh, look at that. It's a Swanson's Spurfowl. So we see quite a lot of crested franklin, Natal franklin, and now we have a Spurfowl. Now, the difference between a Spurfowl and a franklin, well, let me go a bit forward. You can see that looks like there's another one up ahead. There's a couple of them. So, the way that differentiate between franklins and Spurfowl is that the Spurfowl, if you can go in a bit tighter there, please, Brian. Thank you. The Spurfowl, oh no, Murphy's Law, turn its back on me. So you saw that very red, the red on the face. So Spurfowl all have naked red or naked skin. It doesn't have to be red, it can be yellow or whatnot on their face. And the franklins have a feathered face. So that is the differentiate between the two. So all they need is bare skin on the face, and that is what the Spurfowl, and the ones with the feathered faces are then known as franklins. Got some crowned lapwings coming up. like most lapwings, they favor short grasses. Very pretty. They're ground nesters, and they've got some interesting defense mechanisms for their nests. They'll sort of behave like they've been injured if there's a predator around their nest, and sort of walk with a limp or fake a broken wing to try and lure the predator away from their nest. See, now for me, they're behaving like they've got a nest around here. I'm just going to reverse back down the road very slowly. Brian, you can check that side of the road, and I'll check carefully on this side of the road. So their nests are very well camouflaged, but this general behavior is definitely indicating there's a nest around here. So walking closer to me, just check the one in front might do the wounded wing to try show it. I'm worried we might find the nest. See anything? No, not yet. It definitely must be around this area here. Oh, we're being charged by a plover, guys. We've got to back off quickly. Charge it. Aha. I'm sure if I jumped around, walked around here for a bit, I might find the nest, but shame, I don't want to stress out the parents too much. But there's definitely a nest there from that behavior. I mean, why else would a plover charge a Land Rover? I shouldn't keep trying every couple of minutes. I'll let you know as soon as I get your audio about that Ingwe location on Djuma. It looks like there's a herd of wildebeests up ahead in the distance. elephants. Here we go. I see a herd of elephants off to the right down here. I'm just looking for which way they're moving so we can move in front of them. Well, the wildebeest might actually run around and play a little bit. They quite often in the when it's cool, sort of like have a silly 5 minutes. Sometimes referred to as the clowns of the bush. Get into that sort of playful mood. They can be very playful. You can see that young calf's trying to drink. Getting a bit old for drinking there, buddy. Must be very close to being weaned. Well, let's go. We just heard those elephants trumpeting. See where they're going. We are very close to Arathusa's boundary. I'm just going to double check. Just saw them in here. I was hoping they were going to move out towards this open area. And they were. Djuma and WE at southern end of Arathusa airstrip. It's like quite a nice big herd. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. I can see at least 11, but there's possibly a few more. Station, you copy me? There's a Djuma and WE at the southern end of Arathusa airstrip. Good afternoon, Kathy on Twitter. Kathy would like to know, what would an aeroplane do if there were lots of elephant on the airstrip? Well, hopefully not fly into them. normally what you would do is you'd buzz the elephant. The pilot would fly very low over the top of the elephant's heads and chase them off. Guys, I'm just going to be a bit quiet for a second. I'm trying to listen to the sightings update for the game drives on the side. I'll be back with you in a few seconds. Unfortunately, these elephants are right on our southern boundary. I'm just going to try and get a better view while I try. Oh, there's a hole in the road. You okay? Nearly lost the cameraman.
Not a problem, this one's spare.
Yeah. Unfortunately, they're moving south quite quickly, and we're right already on the boundary. Oh, well, dear. Oh. We'll leave the elephants to themselves. Beautiful bird feeding there. That's a crested barbet, and in the back is a Birchill starling. And at the right is a red-billed hornbill. I think must be an emergence of insects that we can't see that all these three bird species are feeding on at the moment. Yeah, hop, hop, hop and catch something. Maybe. There's a bit of sort of those beams of light breaking through the clouds there. There might be a bit of a sunset this evening. The clouds definitely breaking up. Maybe we get some sunshine in the morning. it's been nice to visit a bit of Arathusa. Such a wonderful property. But I think we're gonna slowly meander our way back towards Djuma. Not too much happening. We got to see that nice herd of ellies though, even though if it was just briefly. And the wildebeests, true. And the lapwings. And the spurfowl.
And the crested barbet.
And the crested barbet.
It's all happening.
Yeah. Pumping. It's a very nice herd of ellies. Quite a big one. Afternoon. I'm still battling through copy. I think there might be a problem with your radio, but that Madodengwe was left just to the north of Yuri's Kaya. So we're going to start making our way northeast. There's even a patch of blue sky up ahead. I haven't seen one of those for 2 days. So I think our next plan is that we'll start meandering down towards the Twin Dams area, where we had those male leopard tracks this morning. See if anything comes of that. Also, that elephant herd we saw this morning as was also moving in that general direction. And fingers crossed, those lions are close to the boundary around there somewhere. Maybe they might start moving early this afternoon. I really hope so. Just going to move a little bit quicker for a bit, so we can get back down into that area, so we've got a good possibility of finding stuff. But you never know, we might find something fantastic on the way. A firm station, you can make your way. I don't think there's any vehicles. Hello again, Raisa. Raisa would like to know if Temix courses are found in this area. I'm just going to get a picture quickly, Raisa, so everyone else knows what we're talking about. So number 4 is a Temix courser. It's what the bird Raisa is talking about. Raisa, I have personally seen Temix courses in the Sabi Sands, as well as bronze-winged courses. So I've seen both courses in the Sabi Sand. The Temix, actually, generally after a burn, so a controlled burn, the Temix courses actually fly in and move into that area on the burn. They really like the burnt areas. Bronze-winged, I've actually seen once. Actually, yeah, once since I've been with WildEarth, but it was coming home after drive, and I did see them on one of the main access roads. But we do have Temix corsa. They're not that common, and then the most I've ever seen the Temix is, as I said, after burns, and sometimes reasonable numbers of them. But they do move between burnt areas and other short grass areas. So guys, I'm just trying to hear this update on the radio from the other game drive vehicles, but as you heard, we've been having a bit of trouble. So just bear with me for a moment. Sorry, stations, can I have an update on on the shadow sighting, and what is the exact location? Copy, thanks very much. Confirm, I'm on the main axis, on Triple M at the moment, but I would like make my way into that position. It's Brent from WildEarth. Copy, thanks very much. So guys, that's quite exciting for me. One of Karulas' offspring, Shadow, who I've never seen before, has been found close to Arathusa Safari Lodge, and it's possible that her cub, who's probably more of a sub-adult than a cub now, is also there. So I'm going to try and make my way there. Unfortunately, where that exact position is, sometimes we have a bit of radio problems, so I might not be able to take as many questions and whatnot as I was like while we're there, but I definitely think it's worth taking that chance and going to see a leopard that we don't see as often as we see the others. So it's really exciting for me. I've never seen her before, so let's go see if we can find her. Last station, did you copy that? AFM. And just to those stations, I will be making my way towards that fuzzy English shadow. I'm on Triple M, and I should be there in about 15 to 20 minutes. But if there is anyone else, they're more than welcome to make the way ahead of me. So, let's go! Always love it. So exciting to be able to see an animal that you haven't seen before. So just bear with me. I'm going to go a little bit quicker, and hopefully she'll wouldn't have moved too far once we get there. Sorry, last station. I'm on Arathusa access. Make my way. Affirmative. Affirm. So guys, even though we might not be able to take as many questions and stuff while we are in this position, because it is below the Arathusa dam wall, and that's a really bad spot for our radio communications, but you just have to bear with me, and then I'm sure you guys, knowing a lot more about this leopard, as soon as we get back into a better area, can fill me in. That's one of the positives of being able to operate in both these reserves, that we are able to see a greater segment of wildlife, and specifically leopards. And I'm sure a lot of you viewers who've been watching for a long time will be very interested to catch up with another member of Karulas' extended family. Back across the airstrip we go. Everyone watching for airplanes. No airplanes, just we're nearly there, probably another 5 or 6 minutes. So we're passing actually the main entrance to Arathusa Safari Lodge now. But we can't go in for a drink, we've got a leopard to look at. So I'm very excited to be able to see a leopard I haven't seen before. Quite close now. I thought I'd taken the wrong road for a second when I saw a footpath, but it's the road, it's the footpath between the rooms, and from what I can understand, it's very close to that. Standing by. Copy, thanks very much. I'm busy crossing the dam wall at the moment. There's a brief view of Arathusa Lodge and the dam. Guys, I might have a quick chat with I think it was Cedric. He's coming out of that position where Shadow and her cub are. So you might lose me for a few seconds while I have a chin wag. Perfect. Thanks very much. Eh? Have a good afternoon. Bye. So guys, we're about, well for me it's going to be the first time seeing Shadow and her cub, so I'm very excited.
Me too. Only picture I've seen of Shadow is a little bit of spotted through a bush.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay. So this is quite exciting for both Brian and myself.
Yeah.
There she is, we can see her there now. Just gonna move a little bit. Afternoon Doug, how you doing? Very good, thank you. Afternoon folks. So guys, this is the first time I've ever seen this leopard. I do know she is one of Karulas' daughters. As I said, we're in a very bad signal for our radio comms. So signal area for our radio comms. So I'm sure you guys will be able to tell me all about it, but I'm going to have to let you know when I get out of here to an area where I'm going to be able to hear the final control. I'd love for you guys to catch me up on a bit of a history that I might not know. I can't see the youngster at the moment, but I'm sure it's around quite close by. For those of you wondering what that click was, that was just my camera. From time to time I might take a few shots. So I can't see the youngster yet, but as soon as I do, we'll chat a bit more about the age, try to work it out. And Shadow must be one of, definitely from, just, this is me guessing now, from one of Karulas' first litters. She's well into adulthood. You can see there's a bit of wear on her ears. So I'm guessing she's probably, might even be older than 6 years old now. But I know you guys will be able to help me as soon as we get into an area where we can hear the FC. Station. Alright. Go again. There we go. So thanks Doug for making a bit of space for us there so we can get in a little bit a better position. There we go. Isn't that accommodating of us? Turning around. So that photo I just snapped there is just for my own personal sort of reference and database. It was a close-up on the spot patterns on her face. So now I know I've got a record of what her spot pattern is. I will show you what I mean by spot patterns for the new viewers just now. Looks like she's eaten quite well recently. I've just seen the cub. See, So I've just spotted where the cub is. It's lying a little bit further away. Brian's going to show you now. We can't see it too well at the moment, but we will be able to a little bit later. So we're just going to move a second so Doug can get out, and then we'll move back in, and maybe we can get a better look of the cub. How's it, buddy? You been well? Oh, always good, you know. Cheers, everyone. Have a good afternoon. Standing by. It's just one vehicle here. Forward a bit there, bro.
Yeah, try a little bit.
So, there's the cub. Hey, firm, make your way. It's Brent from WildEarth. So, sorry guys, there's a lot of radio chatter from the other guides. Some of them are wanting to make their way here. So, guessing this cub's probably about, probably I guess between 5 and 6 months old. I can't see whether it's a male or a female yet. Oh, also definitely quite well fed at the moment. So they must have both, or Shadow must have killed something quite recently. I wish I was able to take your questions and stuff, guys, and I'm sure you'd be able to give me a lot more information about Shadow and her cub. It looks very, very comfortable. So, I know a few of you might have heard me say that after we found quarantine with that Impala kill, that there are going to be a lot of fat and happy leopards after that storm. Lots of wind, rain, and a very dark sky makes really, really good hunting conditions for your predators. So I'm quite sure it's been almost a full day with 2 leopards, or a leopard and a half, feeding on whatever they did catch. So I'm quite sure that whatever they did catch was on the same night of that big storm. Let's go have a look at what Shadow's up to. At least she's definitely a very full belly. She definitely does have a similar sort of face to Karula. Obviously not the same markings, but a very similar face.
Very round.
Yeah, very round. Slightly darker than her mom.
Very apologetic.
Oh, that's
sorry, my bad.
What you get for saying she looks apologetic. No, it might have been, I think we just laughed a little bit too loudly there. It might have upset her. So we're just going to keep our voices much calmer now. And there we go. Back to sleep. But you can see how her belly's a distended fat cat. A fat and a flat cat. So there are those paws, those tracks we follow so often. Oh, she heard something, not sure what. Doesn't look too perturbed though. And watch how her ears are constantly moving, constantly scanning for potential prey or a potential threat. We're going to go forward a little bit again, have a quick last look at the cub, and then we move out of here because there are quite a few other vehicles who are on their way, and they were kind enough to let us sneak ahead of them because we're a bit closer. Fortunately, the face is just behind the guarri bush. But a fat, happy mom and a fat, happy youngster. Okay, so the other vehicles are making their way. So we're just going to leave these 2 wonderful leopards to themselves for a few moments while the next vehicle comes in. As this is quite a thick area, there's not that much space for too many vehicles. while we've got a few seconds, I just want to say, it's really, really wonderful to be able to see another member of the sort of extended Karula family. And it gives you a good idea of what a great mother she is. And as I said, for me, it's always wonderful to be able to see a leopard I haven't seen before. So I'm very happy. And as soon as I get back into decent radio comms, guys, I'm expecting lots of questions. Also, really appreciate a bit of information from you guys about how old exactly is she, how old is the cub. That would be really, really great and helpful for me if you guys could do that. And say, stations leaving Shadow and One station making their way. Standing by. Oh, firm. That's been good times behind the. Everyone, sorry. We had some technical difficulties there. With this cloud base, sometimes the weather can play a bit of a part, and we were moving through quite a low-lying area, but hopefully now all fixed. So now that I have back in the land of the living communication, please could you guys please send me some information about Shadow. How old is she exactly? What is the age of her cub? And that type of stuff. I'd really appreciate that. You can send that to questions@wildearth.tv or use the hashtag #SafariLive if you're on Twitter. So, what we've done, guys, is we've moved off Arathusa now, and Mark is out on a tracking team. So he's told me he saw some nice elephant tracks heading in this general direction. So we're going to go have a look if we can see that. Maybe no, we might even find a mark. Mark coming. I'm Triple M heading north. Confirm what's my best point to look at. Probably that. Okay, copy that. Last station, can you go again with that, please? So guys, seems like the weather's playing a bit of a havoc with our communication, our radios as well. So hopefully as I get up out of here and on some higher ground, we'll have a better line of comms. Apologize for that, but can't control the weather, unfortunately. Otherwise I'd make sure it was never cold, ever, 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 ever. How's it? Not too bad, how you been? No, not too shabby. Golf. There was also this morning heading towards sort of that cheetah cutline, Gari signs and coral sign and all that. There was a herd probably heading in that direction. About 30 or 40. Nice one. Thanks. Cheers. Bye. Alright guys, just having a quick afternoon meeting with one of the other guides, and we do that to keep good relations between us and the other guides, as well as we all help each other. So he was asking me if I'd seen any elephants. I said, well, this morning, and then obviously the herd this afternoon, and he'd heard about the herd this afternoon, but he hadn't heard about the herd this morning. So I just didn't even know which direction they were going when we left them. Nice bit of colour coming into the sky to the west. Clouds definitely look to be breaking up, so I'm hoping it's going to be a bit of a sunny day tomorrow and a bit warmer than today. So guys, the weather is playing serious havoc with our communications at the moment. What I'm doing is I'm trying to get around to an area where we can open up the line of communication between you guys and me again. I'm really sorry about this. I am trying to get to a position. I think this weather is really just played havoc. You never know, a little bit of water might have gone into the repeater that works off the radio. But the guys on the other side are trying to fix it as fast as possible, and I'm trying to get into an area we maybe can just possibly use line of sight, so we can hear each other again. Mark coming. We are trying our best, I promise. I've managed to get literally on top, so now I can hear everything, see everything. So if you do have any questions, please send them in to questions@wildearth.tv, or just use the hashtag Safari Life if you're on Twitter. Thanks very much, Ellen. Just a quick update on Shadow's history for me. Shadow was born in 2007. She had a litter mate but was killed, and the cub at the moment is about 7 months old. So I was a little bit off, about a month off on the edge there, but can't always be right. Good afternoon, Dane from Canada. Dane would like to know how long will the cub stay with Shadow, and when will she go into estrus again? Well, then that's very difficult. I'm not sure what the sex of the cub is, but I'll just cover both sexes. Then we should be okay. If the cub was a male, they can stay for quite a long time. I've seen them stay for up to about 20 months with their mother. But with a female, females generally become independent much younger. So probably between 14 and 16 months, a female leopard cub will become independent and will not rely on the mother. Whereas little boys don't seem to like to leave their moms as soon. Good afternoon, Judith from California. Judith would like to know how many cubs does a leopard have? 1, 2, 3? I have heard of litters of 3, but generally litters of 2 are the most common. Litters of 1 have also been recorded before. The second part of the question was, did Shadow's cub have a litter mate? I'm not sure. I'm afraid I don't know. Maybe someone out there can help me out. Good afternoon, Dennis from Spain. Oh, excuse me. Dennis would like to know if Shadow died, would another female leopard adopt her cub? Most certainly not, Dennis. The female would probably kill the cub and then take over Shadow's territory. And they would kill the cub to try and ensure that it's their genetics to get passed on, not another leopard's genetics. nearly back in there. So we're nearly back in there. Quarantine, and hopefully he's decided to climb up the tree rather than be sleeping at the bottom. Good evening, Linda from Canada. Linda would like to know how Quarantine got his name. Well, Linda, it's quite simple. Generally, when leopards are named, they're either named after a characteristic, but more normally they're named after the area they frequent the most. So when Quarantine became independent from his mother, he spent a lot of his time around quarantine clearance. Station with Madodengwe, Yuri's car coming. I'd like to make my way. I'm on quarantine at the moment. I'm aware it is. Thanks very much. It's up to you whether you remain or leave. Copy, thanks very much. Oh, sorry, I was a bit wrong there. Apparently, thank you very much, Susie. Susie says that Shadow's litter mate wasn't killed. She has a sister called Tundi, who is the mother of Bahuti, who Scott saw not that long ago. So guys, I'm just going to give you a quick idea how ridiculously close Quarantine is. I know we tried to show you this morning, but if we look there to our right, we can see a gate and a window. That is final control, and then you can see the fancy technical equipment that I know absolutely nothing about, that enables us to send or to be able to take you on live game drives in the middle of Africa, and enables you to join us anywhere in the world. And then you'll see, and then there is the leopard. You can just see him, he's up in the tree as I'd hoped. You can just see his tail hanging out there. So that's really nice. Two drives in a row. He's behaved well. I said when we come back later, he'll be in the tree. It'll be much nicer. Unfortunately, that doesn't happen all the time, but it's quite nice when it does. The best when it does. So I'm just going to try and maneuver in here quickly, guys, and it's going to take me a few minutes to just see what's going to be the best position to have a look at Mr. Q. So just stand by. Oh, there's 2 hyenas now. That's another update. There was only 1 when we left. Let's go around back. I think that his face is in the leaves from there. Maybe he'll turn around once we've been down for a while.
Siri not available. Connect to the internet.
So, unfortunately, you might hear sort of quite a rumble sound behind us, which means the power is out and the generators are running at the lodge, and so that is the noise you're hearing. Oh, hyenas coming to inspect. Oh, they are actually wonderful creatures. This one is quite young. I mean, you see it's almost no scars. The ears haven't been bitten apart by flies. Looks like he's been in a bit of a fight recently. A bit of blood on the neck. That could also be from feeding or scavenging underneath there. Something might have dropped from the kill onto the hyena. So just a quick recap of the afternoon. I know, and I apologize that we've had quite a few signal and communication problems this afternoon. We are trying to fix it, and hopefully it seems that we've got it right so far. But we started the afternoon here with this young male leopard. He was sleeping on a low branch. He then came down and he lay down under the tree. Oh, flying ants. Lots and lots of flying ants coming out as well. That's directly due to the rain. They're very small flying ants. I don't think you're going to be able to catch them. They're tiny.
Yeah,
I'll see if I can catch one in my hand if it flies past me.
I can see that.
There we go. Well done. You can see all the flying ants. Oh, all the little frogs and lizards and things are going to be ecstatic. Lots of food tonight. It's amazing how the bush can change so much in a single day, in a single rainstorm. But so, just recapping. So, we decided after sitting here for a while, we went and checked the hyena den. There were no adults there, so we left and we went on. And we then went and had a look on Arathusa, and we saw some elephants. And then just as we were about to head home, or head back towards Djuma, we got a call on the radio that they'd found Shadow and her cub. And Brian and I had both never seen either of those two leopards. So even though it was in a really bad area, we decided to take the chance just so everyone could get to see Shadow. And it's always great to see a leopard we don't see too often. So that was really nice. And now we're back with the quarantine male. He's still got quite a bit of Impala left. He's got hyenas waiting around for him to drop pieces of meat. Oh, and then we also went looking for that big muster bull who was marching towards Sydney's dam. Good evening, Julia in Houston. Julia would like to know whether there's a difference between scent marking and urination in the different cats. Generally, the cats will use their urine as a scent mark. I don't know if you were with us earlier this afternoon when Quarantine came down the tree and he stopped to urinate, he sort of squatted and didn't really kick up the sand or anything. And that's a big sign that he is a young male leopard. He's not trying to stake claim to any territory. But I have seen lions and leopards just urinate as well, though. So I'm not 100% sure, to be completely honest. I'll have to have a look, or have a read on that in one of my big books. I wonder if he really thinks he can fit anything more in that belly. He's so full, but he's still thinking, okay, maybe just one bite. Might be looking for a slightly more comfortable spot. You might come down the tree and head down towards the dam for a drink, but I think that'll probably be a bit later. So those of you who watch the Djuma cam, the waterhole cam, I'd keep a lookout for him later in the evening. And he's just really fat and uncomfortable, and he's trying to find a comfortable spot because the hyenas won't let him sleep on the ground. That big belly just keeps getting in the way. Good evening, Kathy from Memphis. Kathy would like to know, do leopards have a specific mating season, or can they mate any time of the year? Well, Kathy, it is any time of the year, dependent on the female, whether she's an estrus or if she's got cubs or not. If she's raising cubs and whatnot, then she will not mate. But if she's not, she will go through estrus cycles. So there's no set breeding season for leopards. It can be any time of the year. Good evening, Jennifer from Toronto. Would leopards ever go to the toilet while they're up in the tree and surrounded by lions? And I'm sure they would. They would much rather be slightly uncomfortable than dead, which is what would happen if the lions caught them. So I'm sure they would. I've personally never seen it, but it is a possibility. Good evening, Grace from Texas. Grace would like to know whether if quarantine leaves the tree, would the hyenas be able to climb the tree and steal the carcass? No, Grace, they wouldn't. They're unable to climb. And the reason quarantine is staying in the tree is not to protect the carcass from the hyenas. He's put it in the tree to protect the carcass from the hyenas, but he's worried if he tries to sleep on the ground, the hyenas will try to chase him. Well, apparently there's a few people asking whether he's bothered by the noise of the generator. And Brian, can you just zoom in on his face? And the answer is that's how much he's bothered by the noise of the generator. Fast asleep. It's really battling to get comfortable with that big belly of his. So it looks like he's found the most comfortable spot so far. Definitely hasn't looked as comfortable as that in the other places he's been lying in the tree. Bit of a bigger branch than he was on earlier. And there's quite a lot of meat still left on the carcass, so I'm pretty sure he'll be here in the morning as well. We're quite lucky. It's like we've been able to follow the story of the Impala as it's got smaller and smaller and smaller, disappearing Impala. When I was a kid, my dad used to joke. He always used to tell us to look out for tree climbing Impala, because if you found a tree climbing Impala, you knew there must be a leopard around. Good evening, Lev in Brooklyn. Lev would like to know what would a leopard do if the baboon's in the tree. Well, I think if the baboon saw the leopard in the tree, they would try to disembark at high speed. But they would try to catch baboons specifically at night, but they wouldn't really try to fight with them too much during the day. So guys, I just would like to start off by saying thanks to everyone out there for watching. Thanks for sending in as many questions as you did. We're really sorry we couldn't get to as many, more of them as possible today. We do apologize for our communication and signal issues. Hopefully with a bit of sunshine tomorrow, all that type of stuff might disappear. Also, I'd like to thank the rest of the crew, and from all of us at WildEarth, we thank you. And just a quick little recap before we leave. I'm quite sure Mark, who's out on drive tomorrow morning, will keep you updated with the Q-Man. So I'm sure he'll stop by so you can keep following the story. And so keep up to date with the news, so to speak. And hopefully some of those lions that have been roaring to the south and to the east of us decide to make their way overnight. I'll definitely be listening while I'm in bed to see if the lions come through. But other than that, guys, it's been absolutely fantastic. Thank you for joining us, and wherever you are in the world, I hope you have a wonderful morning or evening. And instead of looking at my ugly mug for the last while, we're just going to let you enjoy Mr. Quarantine.